We know Russell to be a good person. He's never been in trouble off the floor. But as the face of the franchise, as the face of the organization, do you find it distracting, or his dealings with the media, or even some of his dealings with some individual matchups on the floor? Do you find that at all going away from what you want to be as an organization?
I'm glad you asked that question. No one's asked me that question. So let me be clear about a couple things. I might be a little bit redundant on something you said, but number one, Russell Westbrook's been here for 11 years. The reason why there's so many people in the room and so many people watching the press conference right now, a big part of that is the fact that Russell Westbrook has helped us to achieve a certain level of sustained success that's relatively rare in pro sports. The last time that I checked, he has never had a problem off the floor in a character vein. His reputation there is sterling. Philanthropically, he's done incredible things for this community, and he's also done incredible things for his hometown in Los Angeles. With all that being said, he's not perfect, right? None of us are. But I'm not going to let 11 years or 10 and a half years of his contributions and performance be completely overshadowed by a couple pretty tough months, okay? And so we talk about those things. And as the leader of the team and the face of the franchise, as you said, we'll have those conversations, and there might be times that we might disagree about some of that stuff. He has a point of view at times. He's an adult. He's a man. I respect that point of view. The one thing that I think everybody that works for the Thunder and plays for the Thunder has always had in mind is that we always have to put the organization first. There's no one person or individual that can ever afford not to do that. So yeah, would we prefer if he handled a few things differently? Sure. We've talked about that. I also think it would probably be worthy and noteworthy to establish the fact that he made some adjustments to that particular approach. And I think that's a sign of tremendous leadership and a sign that he is understanding that when he speaks, he is the reflection of so many different people. And I know how much he cares about the team because I've seen it for 10 and a half years. Sometimes I wish that the conversations that I have with him, you guys could see. You know what I mean? Just in terms of the way he can express himself and the points of view he has. Because he's a pretty smart guy, and he makes you think. And, I want to understand, kind of continue to build that, because I think some of the things you referred to are positive in the sense that we can sit down and talk about them.
Sam, you mentioned the emotional team is easy to beat, and I don't want to imply anything, but is that something that you feel that you need to have conversations with Russell Westbrook, just because it's a fine line? You want him to play with that intensity. That's what makes him a great player. But is that an area in which you feel that he can improve upon?
Well, listen, I think it's kind of like the age-old question. First, I mean, the implication that those conversations haven't been had or that we're not having them, we're always talking to our players. But we also have to recognize that the same things that I think you're implying are the same things that people are cheering when we win, right? When we're winning, everybody is celebrating whatever it is that they're criticizing when we don't win. The question is, are we, is that helping us win? You know what I mean? If it is, we got to keep it. If it's not, then we probably need to limit it. But a player like Russell is expending so much energy. He's leaving everything he has on the floor. He's competing for himself, his teammates, his team. There's going to be some emotion in that. That's a big reason why we have bounced back and navigated from a lot of different things during the season. Not everybody can see every conversation we have, but we also can't have him taking away that, because, as you said earlier, like, the emotional team is easier to play against, but a team that lacks confidence is even easier to play against. So you have to have confidence. You have to have some stick to you, which the last time I checked, I don't think he's short on. But that's part of the reason why we've been really good. And I'm not going to sit up here and deny that. He's driven that engine for quite a long time.
Well, Sam, do you think it's possible for him to shed some of the emotion that creates technical fouls and three-pointers very early in the shot clock without a pass, but keep all the emotion that makes him so competitive, that's created 3 straight triple-double seasons?
Well, I think there's evolution. Here's what I'd say about that. I know he probably wouldn't want to. He may not realize it, but he's really evolved as a player. I'm not going to dissect that, but the bottom line is like I said earlier, when you're 25 years old and you're getting criticized for all these things, you look up, you're 30, and you're doing a lot of those things significantly better. There's evolution. Like I said earlier, like he wasn't hitting the corners like he hits the corners now. I mean, listen, I don't know if they're keeping stats like this, but he's second in the league in loose balls. Like I think that's been pretty regular. Took more. He finished better around the rim. Shot distribution was actually trending. And a little bit different than it's been in the past. He's missing right now. He didn't shoot the ball well this season, but I don't think that's a sign that he's not evolving. I think he is evolving in some ways. Is he going to get better? I think he will. Because all the things that we just rattled off were things that I don't think he's done regularly throughout his career. And there's a gargantuan will that exists inside this human being that I think is going to win the day, and I think he will come back. And but for sure, there's always evolution possible. And I think that he has evolved. I do think that some of the last 2 months maybe, overshadows that a little bit. But that's part of it. When you lose, like that's what happens. You gotta eat that. You gotta own that. We, as an organization, you gotta move on.
What role of contingencies for all kinds of scenarios? I mean, and I asked you about Russell shooting, and you expect him to come back and do better. What if he comes back and he's the same or he's worse?
Well, I mean, that's possible with everything. I mean, I can't make you a promise, about anything. Like you could walk outside and it's possible it could be raining and you don't have an umbrella. I can't help you with that. I mean, what you can do is create a plan and work the plan, put the time in. And all I can tell you is like, we're 2 years away from him shooting 34% and he shot 88% from the free throw line in the playoffs. That's a big jump start to our offense. Like offensively, like we had 2 pretty tough games, we had the same, unfortunately we had 2 of the same games that the Spurs had in Game 7 shooting the ball. And that'll happen when you get into small sample size. And we shot the blood out of it for 3 games, but it wasn't enough. They shot it better. I'd expect Russell to put the time in and come back better. We know he's capable, like I said before. He led the league in a lot of different categories. That doesn't happen by accident either. He's put the time in for that. And then everybody has to get better. It's not about him. You know what I mean? It's really a group effort. And I have to do my part. But, again, my job, I've got to look at, like, how good is this team? What's the capability of the team? What's the path forward for the team? What are we going to do to improve the existing group? What can we do externally to work from there? It's a combination. It never comes down to one person. Just like I said, like no one's bigger than the organization. No individual's bigger than the organization. It's never one answer to a problem. We got to sort it out.